I wish I had better advice for you.
So I kind of want to answer her question, but so I've heard a presentation before, and I don't know how many years ago it was, but it was years ago. And my kids were younger at the time. Okay, what am I going to say? So when I went home and I said, okay, and some of the things you said, okay, the world is small. And I remember one of the things you said is our world has shrunk because the internet has brought the entire world into your house.
Yep, oh yeah.
And so that was one of the things I said to the kids, okay, everybody has come in and you don't know who they are. And so you may think you're talking to a 12-year-old kid, but it could be the old man next door. And the funny thing about it is in the next couple of years, we've had 2 incidences where there were busts in Maritime County where it happened to be the creepy old man down the road was one of the guys busted. And the kids came back and said, Mom, look, yeah, it's exactly what you said. It was a creepy old man next door. And I'm like, yeah, see, she was right.
Probably compliment right there.
Yeah, and another one was, it was one of our 4-H leaders. It was one of the husbands. It was one of the dads. It was someone that the kids knew. It was like, are you kidding? And yeah, so our world, even in our very sheltered, what we thought, it wasn't the same as we thought.
So one thing I do suggest is when it comes to the use of Wi-Fi or smartphones or tablets, whatever you have in your house, limit it. When your child goes to bed, do they need to take the smartphone to bed with them? Do they need to take the tablet to bed with them? Does it need to be in their bedroom? Because what do you think they're going to do behind closed doors when you're not watching? They're more susceptible to give in to things. So limit that. Put some boundaries on that. So you get a smartphone, but maybe only give them a limited amount of data. Or give them a flip phone that looks like a smartphone. There's burner phones, believe me, I know my burner phones. There are burner phones out there that look like a smartphone. So they can whip that thing out in class and I've got a phone too. But put guidelines on it, put boundaries on it. When you're at home, you're only allowed to use the computer, tablet, phone in the kitchen, in the living room, where you can monitor that. Plus, I think you can do Wi-Fi now where you can shut it off in different zones in your house. When I found that out, my husband and I were like, because my kid's screwed, I'm sorry. But he's also the kid of 2 cops. He's going to be learning how to sneak out of the house by 5. So it'll be fun. Correct, because that's their property. Correct.
So instead of saying you need to work with them, that's what
I would buy it. Correct. Yep. So just keep in mind though, there is a very gray area that even if you have control of that phone, that doesn't mean you can bring that phone and be like, here, you have consent for a cop to look through it. Another little hint that I would highly suggest, this is a cop's perspective, but if you, so your kids have their own rooms, for example, make sure you always give yourself access to that room. So say, you put the laundry away, you go in there to clean, you go in there to pick up, you go in there to collect their dirty laundry, you go in there to wake them up on a day-to-day basis. Because if something happens and we need to search that room, like for drugs or something, you can now give us consent to go into that room. That's for that type of stuff. But so, say you have a teenage boy and you never go in there, you never take his laundry, you never put his clothes away, he keeps the door locked, you don't go in there to wake him up or whatever, you can't give us consent to go into that bedroom now. Does that make sense? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Because that makes my job easier. But it makes your job easier if they're hiding something. So because they have there's an aspect of privacy now. If you aren't breaking that privacy barrier, they have a right to privacy for their space. It's the same concept if your husband has a locked gun room that you never go in. It's his room, it's his man cave, whatever, you never go in there. You couldn't give me consent to go into that room, even though you live under the same house. So make sure you can always go where everyone else goes. Tell me about it. But what I'm saying is, so if there was ever a concern as to your child maybe is involved in drugs, maybe they have property that's not theirs, whatever, maybe there's a crime occurring, That way it gives us a little bit more avenue to get into that room. That's just my cop spiel. That's up to you what you want to do with that, but tell me about it. So I always tell my husband, they don't need to know anything. They don't need to know anything. So, any other questions? Go ahead.
Where do you draw the line between parenting and privacy, I guess? Like, you're still their parent, yeah, that phone could be their property, but
Right.
your job as a parent is to encourage that.
Right.
Do you draw a line? Is there a line?
There sure is. So, and that's really based upon the relationship between you and your child. I can't tell you where you draw that line. Once they're 18, they're an adult. So at that point, it would be hard for me to articulate that even though you pay for that phone, that you have the right to look in them, or like I can't look in that phone without their consent. But there's give and take with parenting, right? Like you have to let your kids screw up at some point, right? You have to let them go out and grow their own wings. But you have to be there along the way to educate them and kind of direct them back on their path. So obviously there's privacy there. There has to be some privacy there. Your child has to learn how to basically grow up on their own. However, if there's too much privacy, they could be in danger, I guess. So bottom line, that's up to you. That's up to you and how you want to parent. I'll be perfectly honest, so I had amazing parents. They're still alive. Have amazing parents. And we had a really good, open relationship. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was a brat and I lied straight to my parents' face a lot. I'm sure they probably knew, but they let me get away with it. They let me feel like I was on top once in a while. To this day, I cannot look my mom in the eye and lie to her. Like, I have to be like, no, I'm sorry, please don't look at me. I could never lie to my dad, though. My dad is like, that's my dad. But we had a very open relationship. If I basically if I was respectful and truthful with them and honest, I basically got to do whatever I wanted. Like, I didn't have a curfew, but I also didn't disrespect them. Because that was like that, I never wanted to disappoint my parents. So I rode the line kind of myself. Like, I knew what I could do, but to get away with, but I also knew how to do it, but staying like respectful. And my parents did the same thing. They only invaded when they really felt it necessary. And that was only a handful of times. But you know what? Was I pissed off at the time? Absolutely. But looking back on it, was it a big deal? No. Your kids are gonna get mad at you. Your kids are gonna hate you. They're gonna like curse you and say they don't love you, but they'll get over it. They will, I promise you. I am a walking example of it. I think I told my mom I hated her how many times. I would never tell my dad that because I'm pretty sure he probably would have killed me and buried my body. But I said very mean things to my parents, and I got pissed off at them. But looking back at it, no big deal. No big deal. They will get over it. They will get over it. So don't be afraid to piss off your kids because you're doing it for their safety. Okay? Any other questions? Go ahead.
Any suggestions for a parent that has never been on any kind of social media?
Any suggestions?
Where do you begin to learn these kinds of things to try to help?
So, like, I would definitely look into what they're about to send out through their Facebook. Visit missingkids.org or missingkids.com and look for those resources. That will help. Or, do your kids have social media?
No, that's a 9-year-old.
Okay.
They don't have their social media. They don't have phones.
Okay, good.
Their tablets and handout.
Okay,
Some use on their computer at home.
sure.
But sometimes they're able to see like, whether it's a Facebook page, so I learn all these things for, or are there resources out there for me to understand?
Yes, I would say that there's plenty of resources out there for you to understand it without having to create a Facebook page. That's what I would do. And maybe ask your kids. Your 9-year-old might know how to use social media even if they don't have it, just from learning from their friends. So ask them. But, oh, there you go. But that's what I would do. Just look it up. Google, how does Kik work? How does Facebook work? And that's where I would start. Instead of, don't go through all the hassle of trying to create it, because that just opens a whole can of worms, I think. Oh, I barely have time for my Facebook account. So. I think I've done like 60 presentations in the last like 2 years. So I've gone. In fact, I think I'm coming to Rapids. I'm coming to Rapids, but it's a joint presentation. I think we're doing drugs and trafficking. But yeah, as long as my department approves of it, I can go. So, yeah. I don't know if it's been booked yet, because my lieutenant is doing a drug presentation, and then they asked if we could throw in the trafficking portion, but I don't know what it is. I don't know. But yeah, find out. If my department approves of it, it's not a big deal. So, because if it's during like the work day, it's not huge, so it's not a big deal at all. I'll go wherever I'm needed. And I've got obviously different presentations for different groups. Yep. Oh, sorry. Oh, go ahead.
Is there a public sector contributor with the state, but you can not be able to actually show it to all of your live?
Yes. In fact,
Because it's something that like the common
yes. In fact, we were looking it up. Us cops were looking it up. We're like, oh my god.
It's shocking.
Yes. I don't remember the name of it. We did it last year. So I remember like all three of us were sitting around we're like, oh my god. I don't remember it. I don't remember it. You're welcome. Absolutely. My biggest thing is I just want everyone to know. So they're hard cases to work. They're hard cases to prove. A lot of them come in as sexual assaults or just prostitution because the victims don't like to self-identify. But we work pretty closely with DCI when it comes to juveniles. So but we're working on it. You take this away.
I know. She hates the microphone. She doesn't want to give it up either. No. I want to say thank you to all of you on behalf of the Mosinee School District for coming out tonight to hear Sarah speak and give this presentation because, like I said, we do take the safety and security of your kids and really everybody in our community. It's a high priority for us, but we can't do it. The school can't do it alone, and any chance that we get to educate community members, parents, grandparents, there's not a lot of people here tonight, but each and every one of you, I'm sure, is going to go and tell somebody else, and they're going to tell somebody else. And if that makes a difference, then what we did tonight was awesome. So again, I thank you so much for coming out tonight, and be on the lookout. We're going to post some things to our Facebook pages. We'll get things out through Skyward Messenger as well, so we'll get those out to parents in the school district, and feel free to pass those things along to other community members, to aunts and uncles in other places, because this is stuff that is serious and is going on in our community. We've had instances of this happen to kids in our school district. So it's not something that happens in a town far, far away. It happens right here. And it's important for us to know it and talk about it and have those conversations with our kids. I'm glad you said it. Be a parent. And it's hard sometimes for the school district to tell that to parents when they come in and say, what do we do? We can't do everything, and being a parent is the best thing that you can do for your kids. So thank you.
Your kids, at the end of the day, want you to be the parent. Even though they get mad at you, they want you to parent them. They want you to care. It breaks my heart when a kid's like, well, my parents don't give a shit. Like, that seriously breaks my heart. Be the parent. Show them that you're there no matter what happens. Because they want you to be there. I'm done.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.